Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. You're watching Creator Spotlight, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have an awesome show scheduled for you today. And I think, Philip, you there?
Sure, I don't see why you can't see me. Hold on a second. There we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's good to talk to everybody here.
Same here. R.W. Martin, how's it going?
Can you see me? Spock. Okay, yes, I'm here.
Jar, how's it going, bud?
Hey, man, not enough commercials. I've got two more groups to share to. What day is it that there's you have like a 20-minute opening? This one's only got like 10 seconds.
I hit the wrong opening. I'm sorry. That was my bad. That was my
Russian.
Hey, let's not mention the Russians right now.
No, I know. I was going to the Ukraine.
What are you doing? Not that kind of podcast, man.
Okay, well, speaking of podcasts, coming from us from the Crime and Entertainment Podcast, we are speaking tonight with Wade Williamson. How's it going, Wade?
How you doing? Glad to be here.
Hey. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
All right. Well, my name is Wade Williamson. I go by Hollywood Wade. We can get into how that name came about a little bit later on. But about 2 years ago, I got an idea to do my own podcast. And really, I didn't even listen to podcasts, to be totally honest. And I was watching a true crime documentary on TV. One of the people they were interviewing had done like a standalone podcast on that episode. So I went and listened to that just to kind of get more information about the case. That kind of started me down the rabbit hole with listening to podcasts. And then when COVID hit, I was like, I'm really kind of into this true crime stuff. I might start one of those. And then once I started like actually writing it out and I was like, this is going to be a lot of work. And there's a lot of true crime podcasts out there already. So I decided to tweak it just a little bit and add crime and entertainment. Now with that, I can go anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be a true crime episode every week. I've interviewed, people that have actually committed crimes, from drug smugglers to former mob members. I've interviewed authors that have written about people that have committed crime. I've interviewed cops that have went undercover and arrested people for committing crimes. People that have just played people that are committing crimes. So adding that entertainment part in there really kind of opened the door to really do anything that I wanted, basically. And crime and entertainment, it was a good name. Just happened to find that cool little blue flame logo that you might see if you search for our show. And it just kind of hit. And, originally also, I wasn't planning on doing episodes or like interviews. I done one, and what I thought was going to happen was I was just going to come up with subjects to talk about each week and maybe plug in an interview here and there. And then the interviews got to rolling, and word of mouth kind of spread. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, you do one guest well, they're going to tell, a buddy, and then that leads to another buddy. And then, thus starts the snowball effect. And that's kind of where I'm at. I went from not knowing how many interviews I would have to, I think right now I've got enough in the can to last me through 2022.
Oh,
if I don't do another one right now.
So
that's good stuff.
Yeah. How many episodes are you in right now?
I think right now, altogether, I think it's at like 45. I don't think that's quite as many as we have on YouTube, because like I said, when we first started out, we didn't necessarily have interviews every episode. We did cover a true crime case in our very first episode. We covered the poltergeist curse. We covered the, what the hell was that water park can I swear on this? Y'all have,
go ahead.
Okay, that water park that just fucked everybody up in New Jersey, Class Action Park.
Yeah,
I covered that documentary.
My God, like unbelievable.
Yeah. Guys like Don Simpson. I don't know if you know who Don Simpson was, but like
that Homer's brother.
No, he done all of like the kick-ass 80s, 90s badass guy movies like Top Gun, Days of Thunder, shit like that. But he was like the biggest drug-fueled coke habit hooker ordering dude you could think of. I mean, like his life was crazy. And so we done one on him. And then, like I said, the episodes kind of got rolling with the interviews. So I slacked off on, writing those standalone episodes. So those are also available on the audio side of things. All my video interviews are on the YouTube. So that's why the numbers will be a little different, because we never uploaded the standalone episodes to YouTube. They're only on audio.
Sounds like podcasting came naturally to you. Like you jumped in and you knew, like without even having to do much, you knew exactly what, not saying you didn't do much, but like you knew exactly what to do right away. Like it came to you naturally. And that's an impressive feature. Like a lot of guys don't, like they're just like, hey, let's throw this together and like let's see this, let the shit hit the fan. But like you're actually doing the work and stuff. Like you're writing out episodes and stuff. That's really impressive. And
pre-planning. Pre-planning is the key. Like you can't just hey, let's film a movie tomorrow.
Right.
Get a bunch of people together. You got to figure out location, special effects, whatever. I mean, anything in life. If you don't, I mean, there are some things you're like, let's go camping tomorrow, and that could work out. Most things you need to kind of have it all figured out. Like if you're writing a comic book, you need to know, okay, here's my first one, but I need 27 more, and I need to have those all ready. Which I didn't do. I only have one comic book, and it's like just kind of sitting there. But pre-planning is the key. So, hats off to you.
It is. And like I wrote that first episode, it was actually a true crime case about two kids that were run over on a railroad track in Arkansas. And the deeper you got into it, they were placed on a railroad track. Originally, they thought the kids committed suicide. Then they realized that they were actually beat to death, put on the railroad tracks to cover up the murder. And why they were put on the tracks was they happened to stumble on a drug drop there in Arkansas that was tied in with the local cops, that was tied in by a guy you might know that was soon to be the future president, but he was the governor of Arkansas at that time, Bill Clinton.
Wow.
And medical examiners that were covering up deaths. I mean, it was a crazy batshit story. And I may wind up doing it again because that was my first episode I cut, and I was really, really drunk. Now it's funny, but I might do it again and try to do it a little bit serious because all the stuff that I said in there is absolutely true. And it's really mind-boggling how nobody, really paid more attention to that and how it flew under the radar like it did. The guy that was a medical examiner, he wasn't even qualified to have the fucking job. Like the guy before him quit, he was like a helper, and they just gave it to him. But what they said was that he had covered for Bill Clinton's mom, who was like an anesthesiologist that accidentally overdosed somebody, and he kind of fudged some stuff around, and she didn't lose her license and go to jail. And so that was kind of the payback. He let him slide on in there as a medical examiner. And then he was apparently covering stuff up. Like this one guy had his head cut completely off. He was decapitated. Well, his assumption was that he had an ulcer and died, and his dog ate his head. So, I mean, and that happens, not very much at all, probably. But he said,
I was like, what? I'm like,
and then they find his head like 2 weeks later.
Monkeys might do that. Like monkeys might rip your face off. Oprah told me this.
Or John Travolta or Nicolas Cage might rip your face off.
Yeah, the face off. Yeah, this was the whole head, skull, and everything.
I actually saw an interview where Bill Clinton said, "I did not put those kids on those tracks."
Yeah, what do you got to say for that, Hollywood?
I don't know. I got Bill says that I got to believe him. I guess,
dude, I actually got to check that out because that sounds really interesting. Like,
no, it's a very well-known case. It's called The Boys on the Tracks, and I mean, it goes up because if you ever seen that movie American Made, with Tom Cruise, where he plays the drug smuggler Barry Seal. See, Barry Seal had a drop there in Arkansas. And they've always said that Clinton was tied into a lot of the drug dealers and stuff that was going on in Arkansas before he made president. So all of it interlocks, and they still never put anybody in jail for those murders. Anytime everybody come to say they was going to have something to say about it, they wound up dying. So that's how that went, man. And and that was a lot of work writing that because there's a lot of stuff to put in. You can't just gloss over everything. You got to write it all out. So when the interviews started happening, that was a little easier because I was interviewing people that I knew already some stuff about. So that part of the conversation was easy. And it wasn't like I didn't know them from Adam. And so I was like, damn, these interviews are a whole lot less work than having to write it out. I need to try to do that more often. And luckily that just kind of got rolling. So that's what I've been doing ever since.
I'll tell you, the way to tell from Adam is the one wearing the fig leaf.
Oh, jeez.
I think we ran out of horn.
Yeah.
I've interviewed porn stars too.
In case you don't get it, I'm the comic relief.
Oh yeah,
I picked that up.
Yeah, we're relieved of all comedy once he speaks.
Oh, it was so bad, Philip laughed.
I actually really appreciate that kind of style because, like, on the last podcast that I was working with, like, we were doing cons and stuff, and man, I would stress out and anxiety would hit. Like, I was running panels, and before the panels, like, man, I would learn everything there would be to know about these people, like, and the other people decided to just wing it. And dude, I got on stage one time and the person was like, hey, talking to one of the guys from Super Troopers. We had him up on stage and we're talking to him, and he's just like, hey, has anybody ever brought you anything weird to sign, autograph? And he's like, maybe like what do you call it, leg or something like that. And the fucking dude, I've read all about this guy. He has a missing leg. The actor, like, so I'm sitting there trying to like wave at my co-host. Don't ask that because he's asked this question a million times. It's the same question he uses for every celebrity. And I'm just like, no, don't ask that, because he actually doesn't have a leg. He has the word is escaping me right now, but it has a fake, prosthetic leg.
Prosthetic,
Yeah, and the guy turns to him and he looks. He's like, "Well, I would just take mine off and throw it on the table." And like, I'm like, and you could tell he was annoyed by it. I'm just like, man. So it's really nice to hear people that are actually like out there doing the work and making it, and like it's great to see, man.
Yeah, no, it's been fun too, man. And like it hasn't gotten to the point to where it's became like a job. It's definitely,
That's nice
required some of my time for sure. And the interviewing part I love, that's just like me. The way I tell people, I was like, a lot of times people could probably cut a podcast and not even know it. Like when you go to a bar and you sit beside somebody and you just shoot the shit for, 30, 45 minutes or whatever. That's what a podcast is by and large. It's a little bit more directed, when you're on air, but I mean, that's really what it is. And to me, it just kind of came natural, kind of like what you said. I've always been a talker. I was always that guy that would watch a movie and then go tell everybody about it and why they should watch that movie. Oh man, you got to see this. They do this and they do this. And, and I would always watch the documentary or the behind the scenes or the making. That always stuff kind of interested me back in the day.
Yeah. I'm not to take the thing over. I just got done filming an independent movie this weekend, which is what you came in on. And yeah, the watching it all go together and how did it all come together stuff that I think is fascinating,
Absolutely.
So when you buy, like, let's say The Godfather, which is big again right now because of that Netflix special, and you watch, oh, this is what this is based on, is this guy really did these things, or this is what it took to do this and stuff. I've always found that fascinating. And my girlfriend and I watched a lot of, like documentaries on like John Wayne Gacy and all that stuff. And it's like, are you kidding me? This guy had 30 something bodies in his basement and no one figured that. Like, it just, how does the criminal mind work, and how do some people get away with it and some people don't? And yeah, it's very fascinating.
Well,
actually, go ahead, Lee.
No, I was going to say, RW, you brought up a really good point. The Offer. Are you watching that?
I haven't checked that out yet.
So good.
I got to put that on.
I'm trying to. A close friend of mine knows the guy who played Carlo Gambino, and I'm hoping to maybe get him on the show.
Maybe he can make you an offer. He may be making you an offer you can't refuse.
Absolutely.
What I love is Paramount. They put on The Offer, and then they just release the remastered that they put on there. Is that something new, or of
remaster what, The Godfather?
The Godfather. I know they had a remaster before, but I thought they made like a new edit for Paramount. I could be wrong, but
they may have. I know they done one not too long ago where they kind of like seamed them all together or something like that. It was like a continuous film.
Oh, number 3 is the Coda cut. It's a completely recut of the third one. So yeah, I'm slowly working through them again, while watching The Offer, which is friggin' phenomenal.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I need to get caught up. I've had crazy busy schedules these last few weeks, so I need to go watch the rest of the episodes. I caught the first one, but it's definitely something that's, I think it's very well acted so far, what I've seen. I haven't been able to get current with it, but that's my plans this weekend. Coming up Memorial Day, I got some time off, so just relax. And
starts this weekend, though.
Let's not change the subject. Let's not go down.
I got it.
Yeah,
and Stranger Things starts this weekend, and it's actually a big TV weekend.
Yeah,
Memorial Day weekend.
So you've obviously you said you've done 45 shows so far, probably, and like my girlfriend has 2 sons that are, I'm going to get their ages wrong. I think they're 17 and 14 right now, right? Yes, I got it right. Okay. And the 14-year-old just started watching Sopranos on whatever it is. So I'm like, you got to listen to he's over here on the couch. So I'm like, you got to listen to this guy. He's talking to some of these people or whatever. But of all the people you've talked to, like, what was the most like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm talking to this guy. and you did what? And your father did what? And you were involved in what? Like, is there one that just like, I can't even believe this stuff?
There's been a lot, man, to be honest. Like you mentioned The Sopranos. I'm a huge Sopranos fan. Like, I was a fan early. I actually didn't watch it when it first aired. I caught on, I think the third season was like in the middle when I finally started watching. I was probably too poor to have HBO at the time. But I wound up buying the first 2 seasons at a pawn shop. And so I burned through them really quick. And then after that, I was hooked. I got HBO. I watched it every week. And my wife, me and her watch them probably at least once a year. So just to be able to interview anybody from that show is kind of surreal because it's just one of my favorite shows. And I've interviewed Dan Grimaldi, who played Patsy Parisi. He lasted all the way up until the end. He lived, too. I don't know if you actually know what happens to him because he goes running off down the thing when Silvio gets shot. And you never see him
spoiler
again.
alert.
I know you just ruined it for me. Shut up.
No, you don't ever know what happens. He don't come back. I know he's alive. I interviewed John Fiore, who's in there. He was in Law and Order for years. He was actually in Coda that won Best Picture. That kind of
was
overshadowed
a great
the bitch
movie.
slap. Yeah. Will Smith's stand up and bitch slap kind of overshadowed them winning Best Picture.
That thing overshadowed a lot of stuff.
Right.
The fact that, like, Liza Minnelli, a legend, comes out in a wheelchair and everybody's talking about the slap, and all these people who did great things just kind of, he ruined it. Like, not just slapping, someone in the face, he literally slapped everybody else in the face at the same time.
I have to say, I wouldn't even known the Oscars happened had he not slapped him in the face.
Yeah, I agree. But, to answer your question, man, probably I would say Tom Sizemore.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that is huge.
Yeah.
His that documentary he did like 10, 15 years ago, I don't remember, that finding Sizemore or something like that.
Yeah.
That was a really like dark kind of like, he's got a past. Like,
yeah, he does, and he doesn't shy away from it, which is what I liked about him. He's worked with some of the best in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oliver Stone and Natural Born Killers. He played Scagnetti. He worked with Steven Spielberg and Saving Private Ryan. He worked with Michael Bay and Pearl Harbor. He worked with Michael Mann and Robert De Niro in Heat. He told me a story. Yeah, Al Pacino as well. He said that they were weapons training in that for so long that they were just so efficient to be able to handle those weapons that the scene where they're having the shootout at the end, Val Kilmer's like shooting and then he does a reload and he keeps shooting. He said he done it so perfect and so on the money that clip is what they would show recruits of how you change magazines during a firefight.
That's
pretty cool. That was just really cool.
The way Val Kilmer did it is what they showed.
Yeah, it's like however many clips was in it. It was like, and he stops like on the one and changes it, bumps in, keeps going. That was like how they told him, hey, if you're in a firefight, this is how you need to change magazines.
A lot of these guys,
Val's amazing. I mean,
a lot of these guys get like really good training. Even like Keanu Reeves is like very professional.
Oh yeah, for the John Wick shit he's got going on, that dude, man, he's like
these guys are no joke.
Yeah, he could probably shoot a gnat's off a rat's ass from 200 yards away right now. I mean, he's crazy.
What's the Star Wars line? Hold on, we don't do that one.
His training videos are just friggin' insane, and they also just released the training video of the woman from Moon Knight, like her
dude. She is fucking dope.
Yeah, it reminded me of like John Keanu training for his. She was like so on par, and just amazing that she's doing her own stunts and everything too.
My training video goes live tomorrow. How to gain weight in less than 24 hours, and it's just me eating donuts. Really,
I need to have a behind the scenes on that.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm doing the whole I don't eat, so I'm losing tons of weight. And like, the doctor's like, Jeremy, you got to eat. I'm like, I just don't feel hungry, doc.
They say stay under 1,000 calories. So I'm like, well, that means I can drink 10 Coronas and eat a zebra cake, and I'm good to go. That's all
zebra cake, man. I like the Christmas Christmas tree ones. Actually, the Little Debbie Christmas trees are the best.
I like the brownies because you can squish them up into a ball. All the oil in them makes them really nice, and you can sit there and just.
So, just so you know, Hollywood Wade, these podcasts just go here and there.
Oh yeah,
and there and up there.
No direction. That's fun. That's a welcome change. I don't have to worry about keeping a schedule or a segue.
We have a guest on to talk about, like, they're like, what was it like being on Star Trek? And then 2 seconds later, it's like, oh my God, did anybody watch the new Care Bears movie? And
shine.
So Tom's asking if you watched the new Sopranos movie, and also I'm going to follow this up. Is what are your thoughts about what happened at the end of the original Sopranos?
Okay, so I'll go with that. I did see the new Sopranos movie. I liked it. I wasn't blown away, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting to be. After watching Chase for as long as I did, and by that I mean David Chase, the creator, I didn't think he was going to give people this big elaborate ploy. I thought he would give them just enough to stay interested and kind of be connected to the characters, but not give them this big elaborate movie. That was what I was expecting from him, because I expected like a mediocre Sopranos episode, which in my opinion is what I got. You got the backstory, and I've heard interviews with him where they said they tried to turn that and make it into something more about the young Tony, and that's not what it was meant to be. It was more of a story about Dickie, and then, what happened to him and him coming up. So they tried to turn it more to Tony. And then obviously when they got Michael Gandolfini, James Gandolfini's son, playing him, that just kind of upped the ante, making it about Tony, because you got a son. I don't know if that's even ever happened before in film, where you have a guy's real life kid playing him in real life. It maybe have. I'm not saying it hasn't, but, doing it like that, it definitely, I think, upped the ante on the film. So I was pleased with it. I can see where, diehard fans maybe weren't as satisfied as some, but I got what I expected, so I was satisfied with it.
Well, Bruce Willis wasn't in it, so diehard fans were probably really upset. I tried an RW joke. How'd that work? Was that good?
As far as the end of the actual series, I don't know what he could have did that would have satisfied everybody. If you show him shot, then everybody's upset. Everybody, oh man, I can't believe they killed him. Why would they do that? If you show him happy ever after, nothing's happily ever after. How would he get away with everything that he was doing? So what I think he did was the right thing, because it's brilliant that we're still talking about it and debating it and having podcasts about it. What, 25, 20, however many years it's been off the air, 20 some odd years later. So I think he, as crazy as it was at the time, I thought my fucking cable bill had went out or something, I think he made the right decision. As far as what did happen, I think he died, but I think that's the beauty of it. It can be up to everybody's interpretation.
Yeah. Another show just copied that ending, and I was so upset that they did.
Really? Was the Ozark?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I might get beat for saying this, but I have not watched Ozark.
I was going to start watching it. Now I don't have to.
No, it's a great show. You want to watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo ruins everything.
All right.
That's what we should call the show, actually. Leo ruins it all.
Actually, Leo didn't ruin it. Wade was the one that said, is the Ozark?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wade's fault.
Hey,
Leo, I'm watching your back, Leo. I'm watching your back.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil.
The gas can't ruin anything. They're the gas. They can't ruin anything.
Just to be fair, like the ending that they did, the show takes so many twists and turns and just gets so friggin' dark. It's an amazing show.
Which one are you talking about? Sopranos or
Ozark?
Yeah.
So like the ending that they did, it is definitely a copy of Sopranos, but it's different. It's more, rather than not what happened, it's somebody's choice.
Right.
And, depending on how you viewed the character going on, that's what you're going to think what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes that might be the best way. I mean, it might not be the most popular choice, but, in some people's mind that don't want to see Tony dead or like I said, I don't watch Ozark, so I can't really say who exactly you're referring to. But, for people that didn't want to see Tony dead, they can say, well, it's lights out. They continue to see, and he lived happily ever after. For people that's a little bit more in depth to it, well, you had the whole 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock thing. That guy come out the bathroom at 3 o'clock. There were so many references to, I bet you don't even hear it when it happens. And then the lights just going out and the guy in the members only jacket. And that whole fucking scene was just so stressful with like Meadow trying to park the car and them sitting there flipping through the thing. And I mean, it was just, I remember watching that like live, like I'm biting my nails. I'm, gripping fingers. My toes are like digging into the carpet. I'm just like, what the hell's going to happen? It's just, you knew something was about to happen. And then when it went black, I'm just like, did you pay the bill? I'm looking at my wife. And did you pay the fucking cable bill? What the hell happened? And then when the credits started rolling, I'm just like, I can't believe they did that. And for years I was mad. And then I think as I got older, I learned to appreciate it a little bit more. I was like, he really left it up to every viewer of however they wanted it to be.
That's cool. Now, where exactly are you located? New England, out west, Midwest?
No, I'm in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina.
I was figuring at least Australia or something.
Oh my God!
It's a little thick.
Have you talked to anybody? I don't know who's alive and who's not, but anybody from the whole Whitey Bulger gang, like that whole Boston thing at all?
Not anybody directly that was with his gang. I talked with a guy that was a mobster up there in that family. He was up under the patriarchs, Bobby Luisi. I talked with him. I had an episode with him. And then I also talked with Michelle McPhee, who's wrote a ton of books about Boston up there. A lot of stuff on the Boston bombing. She's wrote a lot of stuff, been nominated for some Emmys for some of her work. She was doing City on a Hill up there with Tom Fontana. So we just had an episode. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I've dropped that one yet, but really good, really great writer. And she was, right there when a lot of that stuff was going on. So she knew a lot about what was going on with Whitey. And, the whole thing was, how did he get killed the way he did? Some people are saying, I'm not sorry he did, got killed the way he did. But how did that happen? You got a guy of his stature, they're not supposed to be left alone. Somehow or another, he got in that prison. He got into a situation where he was by himself, where somebody else could get in there and they schlocked him, which is, for people that don't know what that term is, putting a lock in a sock and then just beating him with the sock and beat him to death. And you're telling me that nobody knew that was going down? I mean, come on, that shit ain't happening.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying that he didn't deserve it. That's not, he was a bad guy. He done a lot of bad things to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you're in a prison. Somebody should see something. And somebody got paid off.
I always felt that was an issue too with like Jeffrey Dahmer. No matter how bad these evil people are, if you're a ward of the state, you should be protected. Even if you're a bad person.
100%.
Yeah, there's a lot of of those weird things like that you just, and again, you're not like, oh, that's a shame that this guy who murdered 300 people just got killed.
Yeah,
that's not what you're saying. But how was that able to happen is really strange.
That makes it no better than like how does it make it better?
Right.
Like,
I mean, now the
two wrongs don't make a right, as mom and dad always said.
Yeah.
And,
but two rights make a left.
Yeah,
it's three rights. I think.
Or three rights. Yeah,
I think more than that, it's just the fact that, like I said, if you're a ward of the state, you're under the state's protection, and if the state screws up, that's bad.
Yeah, and nothing usually happens in jail without somebody knowing something's happening in jail.
Somebody got paid. A guard got paid off to take a coffee break or go smoke a cigarette or go look at something or check something out. I mean, somebody got paid off to put him in that situation. I mean, I think he was in a fucking wheelchair to begin with.
But I do want to say that Whitey Bulger was a piece of shit, and I'm glad he's dead. However, the way he died, though, was again that was pretty sad because again, he was
we know that all Hollywood movies are real, and if we know that, then we know that Tango and Cash touch base on that exact thing. Tango and Cash are in a prison, and miraculously they're getting jumped by every inmate, and there's no guards anyway. So anywhere's to be found. So we know that it happens, obviously.
I was watching a porno where they got to have sex in a prison. Guards were just right down the hall.
I've seen that movie too.
It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird.
Comment on yours, man.
Bulger was not, I guess, executed, to be honest, because it was a federal crime that he was put on charge, and so I don't know how that happened. Yeah. Not that I necessarily agree with that type of punishment, but I mean, just as a federal crime, it's kind of weird based off of what he had done.
Yeah. Now, Tango and Cash was a fucking great movie. I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, and I always there's a few movies from and again, I'm a 70s, 80s guy because I was born in 65, but there was a few movies in the 80s like Tango and Cash. It's like, oh my God, when's the next one? And they just never did it again. But I think that Stallone and Russell, who's one of my favorites, just they had chemistry and it was good. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, if they did it now, it wouldn't. They're all like, like, what are you saying? Like, have no idea. But
the power of Disney and CGI. They
that's true. Yeah, they get some voiceover artist to do Stallone's voice for.
Now, I think Shane Black had something to do with that, but that was just one of them good buddy cop movies, man, that they just don't make them like that. Like Last Boy Scout was kind of like that with Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis. Just good movies like that, man. They didn't make anymore, but I love Tango and Cash as a kid watching that. It was one of my favorite movies.
Ray Tango and Gabriel Cash,
rats and a maze.
Yeah, freaking Jack Palance. I mean, you could have Jack Palance reading like Dr. Seuss books, and it would be fun to watch. You're like,
oh yeah,
red fish, blue fish.
Like, yeah, I'd sit there and watch them.
What was that? The guy with the ponytail. I think they called him
Brian John.
Yeah.
You fucking wanker.
He's Perret too. He's a governor.
Ponytail.
There he is. There's a ponytail.
But yeah, he's like, it's a dud.
Bloody dud.
Oh my God. But yeah, he's gone. He's no longer with us, unfortunately.
Wow, I didn't know he died. Wow.
Yeah, he passed away, and I don't quote me on this, but it was like 8-10 years ago or something. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's pretty sad, but
yeah 2000. Actually, it's 2006, so 18 years ago.
Well, you knew that right off the top of your head?
No. I have the wiki right here.
Wow, nice. Wow. So I knew it was quite some time ago, but yeah, there's so many people like that you go, what? He's dead, and like he's he always played a good bad guy or whatever.
Yeah. I think he was in another 48 Hours where he was the Iceman with Eddie Murphy and Jack. I think that
was him. Oh my God. The first 48 Hours was my favorite where he's like, new sheriff in town. His name is Reggie Hammond. Y'all be cool. And he's like, let's see what we can fuck with next. And he's like, but yeah, again, they just, nowadays it's like, oh, let's make a sequel from 45 years ago and get the original people who are now 98 and 87 to do it. And it's like, no, don't do it now, but you should have done it then,
I don't know. I kind of like when they did, because they shot it down here next to where I live at. Was they redone Halloween?
Oh, nice.
Jamie Lee Curtis. So that was the first one. I think they're doing 3. They had Halloween and Halloween Kills, which was the last one. And then they're going to have Halloween Ends. Now, I don't know if that's going to actually be the end, but I think Danny McBride's got something to do with that, and Rough House Pictures, because he films Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
down here
that's
where I'm
great. At. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
it's over
I just finished up the 3rd season. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Are they using that Michael Myers house that's in North Carolina down there? Is that what they're using?
I don't know where the house was, where they filmed, for the first one. I was actually supposed to be in that movie as an extra, and I couldn't get off work to go. And I was so far in attendance to where if I'd have missed another day, I was going to get fired. But I was so close to just being like, you know what? Fuck you. This is Halloween. I'll find another job. But I wound up going to work, so I didn't get to go. But I'm not sure what house they used for him. I know they've done a lot of it down here. Like I said, McBride does a lot of stuff. He shot a lot of stuff from Eastbound and Down here. It's a place called the Citadel Mall, which is not far from where I'm at. And he's got like a section of that mall there. that he films the Righteous Gemstones in. So he does a lot of work down there in Charleston. Matter of fact, one of the guys that was in Halloween Kills, and I think the first one, his name is Michael Smallwood. He was the doctor, or the guy dressed like the doctor. He had that kill where the knife went like through his chin, through his mouth, and then into his eye when he was sitting in the car. I had him on the show on Crime and Entertainment, so that was pretty cool.
No, the first Halloween movie in '78, they filmed it in L.A. But there's a house in North Carolina called the Michael Myers house, which is an exact replica of that house in California. So that's what I was saying. Are they using that house, or did they build another house just to film this movie on? That's
I don't know. I'd have to look in. I never heard of that before. So we're in South Carolina, but yeah, that's close. Yeah, I'd like to find out that.
Leo could probably look it up, but I forgot where it is. But it's the Michael Myers house, and I believe it's in North Carolina.
Yeah, I have to look that up because I would definitely be interested in going and seeing something like that.
Yeah.
So your show, you do 2 a week? Is that what I'm saying?
No, I only do 1 a week. I probably need to go to 2 a week with all these interviews I got piling up. But I wasn't sure. Like I said, this thing just kind of happened, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do my own episodes and then just plug in an interview here and there. And then once the interview started rolling, I was just doing them like every day. I was doing 2 a day, not thinking, all right, well, it might dry up at some point. I might just get them all in and release them. That way if I hit a dry spell, I'm still cool. And the other day I was finally counting up, and I got 25 of them. And I'm just like, shit, I could release one every fucking week, on Sunday, because that's when I drop my episodes for the rest of the year. So I'm going to scale back probably on the interviews, at least for a little bit, and try to focus more on the production side of things, maybe trying to beef up the audio, or not the audio, but the visualization for the YouTube, maybe add in some more stuff that I didn't do before. I've got some really cool guests coming on that I might take their episodes and try to beef up a little bit, add some pictures in there, do some stuff that I hadn't normally done before, make it a little bit better production. Yeah. And I didn't do none of this shit before I started doing this, man. I didn't edit anything. I didn't know anything about recording. I didn't know nothing. I had a Facebook page, and I would get drunk and go live, and that was about the extent of my, time on camera. But I just, I kind of learned everything as I went. I got Audacity, which is a free program, and that's how I cut my audio. I got DaVinci, and that's how I started doing the video, and just kind of learned on the fly, and it's been working. And you can kind of see, the first episode, there was no banner at the bottom, nothing like that. I think the third episode, I started getting the banner, and then the cut started being a little bit clearer. And, you can see the progression from I started to where I am now. But yeah, I had to learn it all on the fly.
Now, have you thought of doing any horror conventions or anything like that?
I'm actually scheduled to be at a horror convention at the end of fucking month we're in, July next month. It's down in Savannah, which is pretty close to where I'm at. I think right now Carl Gottlieb is scheduled to be there. Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5 is going to be there, who I've actually had on the show previously.
Oh, nice, man.
I think what's her name from Hills Have Eyes? I got her name's escaping me right now. The female from there, she's going to be there. Yes, no, not Linnea Quigley. Was she in Hills Have Eyes?
Is it Priscilla Presley?
Susan Lanier.
Oh, Lanier, yes.
Yeah, she's going to be there. A couple other ones are going to be there. So hopefully that will turn out to be good. And I'm a big fan of horror movies as well. I've had, like I said, Lisa Wilcox on, Michael Smallwood, who I mentioned earlier. I grew up on horror movies. So I actually interviewed Tom McLaughlin, who done Friday the 13th Part 6. And that was a really cool interview.
Oh, yeah.
So the house is in Hillsborough, North Carolina. It's owned by a guy named Kenny Caperton, and he was a longtime fan, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's in Hillsborough, so it's an exact, can't really see it, but it's an exact replica of the house, and there's a fan obviously standing as Michael Myers outside the house or whatever. But if you're near Hillsborough, cool. I don't know exactly where, but I'm sure you could find out.
Oh yeah. I might have to take it might be a weekend trip right there.
You're like, road trip.
So here's a question for you. I've seen just about everybody cover him. Even one of the video game channels I cover, or that I watch, they're actually covering it as well. The whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Oh my gosh!
Everybody and their mother is like just covering that trial. What are your thoughts on that?
She's got to be amazing in the bed. All her shit that she's got going on. She's just got to be fucking dynamite is the only thing I can figure. Because you're cutting the man's finger off, you're shitting in his bed, you're breaking his liquor bottles, you're banging Elon Musk and James Franco and elevators and everything else. I mean, you just there's only one explanation, and that's that she's got to have just some amazing stuff going on in the bedroom. This is the only thing I can figure. And the crazy thing about this is, I think she's going to come out of this the bad guy, and people are going to love Johnny even more.
I just can't see how either of them would want this televised. Like,
well, I don't think he did. I think she did.
The whole, like, holy crap, I would just be mortified. Like, because I'm going through a divorce right now, and I'm like, dude, I would just be like, fuck it, take it all. I'm done. Just take it. I can't deal with that. Like,
first day. Hi, we're here live with the Jeremy trial. And you're like, no, you can have
win.
It all. Take that, right, done. Like, yeah.
So she sued him first, right? Over in the UK?
I think so.
I thought he sued her in the UK.
Yeah. But what this is because she wrote a op-ed for the Washington Post or something like that, and he's suing for defamation because
right, because then they pull him from Pirates or something like that.
Yeah, and she wasn't supposed to write anything, and she did or something. I don't know. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's definitely, but I don't think none of this stuff that come out with Depp doing blow and drinking, I don't think any of that's a shock to anybody that know Depp. You know, one of the shows, the last time I was writing a show,
didn't he do a movie called
before things got rolling with the interviews, I wrote one on the Viper Room. You guys know anything about the Viper Room?
Yes. That's where he goes and plays, right? He had an ownership in that, right?
Yes, he did. He had an ownership in that. He had 51%. Yeah. And the other guy that had the 49% was a guy by the name of Anthony Fox. And the reason why I mention this is it actually got brought up in the trial. Amber Heard was talking about it. Well, obviously, most people remember the Viper Room. That's where River Phoenix OD'd.
Yeah.
And that was not long after Depp had it. But Fox was actually suing Depp for saying that he was skimming profits from the facility. And that was kind of like the modern age Studio 54, you know, all the celebs went there
out in LA.
Out in LA. And everybody said that he was probably going to win that lawsuit. And the day before he was supposed to go to trial, he went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never been found. And obviously people are like, well, he was going to sue Depp. Depp was going to get in trouble. Depp might have picked up the phone. Depp might have made a call. That call might have been to a guy who picked up the phone, who had a gun, and you get to where I'm going. But he was never found, and that was something that Amber Heard said, that he had, something to do with that murder. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. There's no proof to that. Obviously, he's never been tried for it or anything like that. Eventually, I think he did actually give his 51% to Fox's daughter. So then she obviously owned, the whole damn thing, because she owned over 49. Some people said that he did that out of guilt. Some people said he did it because he's a good guy. I guess that's kind of, however you want to look at it.
Right. Now, for any law enforcement that is listening to this, we're just talking about rumors that were out there. We have nothing to do
rumors.
We know nothing.
We're promoting nothing.
Don't be dragging my ass into court against Depp. I don't like that. People don't fare well against that man.
Nobody, no crime.
Well, that brings up a good subject, with like some of the mobsters that you've interviewed. Has one of them? Have you ever had an experience where they're like, "Shit, I shouldn't have said that," or,
Not really. Most of the guys that I've dealt with have already been to jail for, whatever they did that they committed. Some of them have, went on to testify. And, do cooperate with the government. So nobody's really, I don't think anybody, especially in that life, is going to be stupid enough to admit to something that they haven't already told the government anyway. And a lot of times, Yeah, no Henry Hills. A lot of times in those situations, especially if you're going to be an informant, you have to tell them everything you're involved in. So if at any point you come back and you say, "Oh shit, talking an interview, I forgot I clipped that guy on 35th and whatever, and for parking in my spot," then all your deals are voided because you didn't talk about that one. You didn't tell them that. You didn't know. So they're either not going to talk about it, or it's something that they've already admitted to, so they can't get in trouble for it. So I've had matter of fact, the episode that I just released this week was with a guy named Anthony Ramundi. And the promo was, him basically committing his first murder at the age of 16 years old.
No shit.
I had not a crime thing, but something almost similar, not really exactly similar. But I was filming this movie in New York this weekend, and the Canadian border was like 15 miles away. So I was like, I'm going to go to Canada. Never been there before. I can go say I've been to Canada. Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. In the back of my car was all these airsoft guns that we were going to be using for filming this movie, and a hat that said police on it, right?
Oh, shit.
And a bunch of other stuff. So I pull into Canada, and the guy's like, "Do you have any drugs or alcohol or any, illegal substances or whatever?" I go, "Never drank, don't do drugs, don't smoke, no." The only thing I have that, I don't know, questionable or whatever, but I have some airsoft guns in my car. I'm filming a movie and, across there, and I got all this stuff in my car. Airsoft guns? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how many? And I go, I think there's 2. There's 2 airsoft guns, and there's a couple Nerf guns. Any knives? I don't think so. I go, I have ADHD. I can't remember stuff. And he goes, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to tell me everything that's in there. And if I find something that you didn't say, I'm not going to take this I have ADHD thing as an excuse. So the guy makes me pull over. He searches my whole car, and he goes, what's this gun that looks like a Luger? And I'm like, oh, no, I totally forgot I had that one on me. And it's a metal gun. It looks like a Luger. It looks like a 38 or something. But it's, it's an airsoft gun, but I just forgot to mention it. And I'm like, it's an airsoft gun. I used it when I'm Indiana Jones. I forgot it was in there. I'm so sure what happens now, right? Like, I was freaked out. And the guy goes, well, this one's metal, and this one concerns me. All your other guns are plastic. Doesn't concern me at all. But this one kind of does. And I go, it doesn't work. It's broken. Like, you can look at it. I had to break it. And like, they literally said, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get in your car. You're going to go over here. You're going to go back to New York, and if you dump off all that stuff, we'll let you back in. But if we do let you back in, we're going to bring you in the building and question you for like 4 hours. And I'm like, okay, great. So then I was like, so like, yeah, if you don't say something and they find it, it's not fun. So I'm lucky I didn't have fines and cuffs on me and stuff.
RW, I'm a little shocked though. Don't you live in New Hampshire?
Yeah, but I was filming in Messina, New York, which is
you don't live in New Hampshire. You live in Vermont.
No, I live in Vermont.
Or Vermont, or even closer. You've never been to Canada?
Once in like the 90s, it was like
it's not closer. It's the same distance.
When I lived in Waterbury, Vermont, where I grew up, Canada was like an hour and a half away. And one night, some friends and I, it was like midnight. We didn't want to cross the border, but we did. And they're like, what's your business here? And we're like, we ran out of interstate. We thought there was so literally they go, what? And I go, I didn't know that it was just going to be a toll booth. I thought that like it would be like, oh, there's Canada. We can turn around. They're like, nope. I'm like, yeah, we don't really want to come into Canada. So they go, okay, turn around. And then the Vermont side's like, what are you doing here? We're like, we were turning around, and they're like, no, you're not. And then like the Vermont people wouldn't let us back in for like 2 hours. And when I mentioned that to the Canadian guy just the other day, he goes, yeah, we know. We have you tracked. You're in our system. And I'm like, for what? He goes, for turning around. And I'm like, I'm in your system for turning around. He goes, yeah, why were you turning around? Did you have a DUI? Did you just kill somebody? Are you wanted somewhere? And I'm like, what? Like, it was so mind-boggling just because I turned around before.
They were bored. It was like
I'm going to New York in June, but we're talking New York City now.
Yeah.
I love that fucking place, dude. Like, I don't know if I could ever live there, but I wish there was a period of my life where I could have went up there and stayed for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
just to experience.
Yeah, I was there 2 weeks ago. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. He saw it all a couple of weeks ago. The Archie Bunker house where Taylor Swift lived, and all kinds of things.
The Ghostbusters place, they went there.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You know, the first time I ever went there, because I grew up in the South, man, and I hadn't done a whole lot of traveling in my early years. And I met my wife, you know, or she was my girlfriend at the time. And that was like the first plane ride ever, first trip out of state. You know, we went to New York. I'd never been on a subway in my life, right?
Scary,
so we go down there. Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't scared, but it was at the same time trying to, you know, figure it out. And so we've dropped our bags at the hotel. Fucking room was so small. Like if I dropped a towel on the floor, it gave it wall-to-wall carpeting. That's how small.
What borough did you stay in? What borough did you stay in?
It was near Times Square. I don't know, whatever.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're in Manhattan.
Yeah, that was
in Manhattan. Price. So we go down and, you know, drop our bags. We follow somebody, get on the, you know, the track, go down a little bit and just walk. You know, we're walking. Now going back, it's about nighttime. And, you know, it's kind of like interstate, depending on what side of the street you go down, that's what side of the subway you're going to get on. So we're there, and still not 100%, because like I said, first time either one of us had ever rode a subway. And I'm looking, we get on, and, you know, the first stop, the guy will tell you where it is. Well, he's got a little bit of a foreign accent, so I can't really understand exactly what the fuck he's saying. So I'm sitting by this map, and I told my wife, I'm like, all right, well, we need to go here. If he says this stop, I know we're going the right way. If he says this one, we're going the wrong way. We got to get off and go around the other side. So he still can't understand nothing this guy says. So when it stops, it's probably like 11:30 at night. When it stops, I said, well, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to look at the wall because they have it on the wall when you get out of what it is. I said, I'm going to hop off, check out what it is. I'll hop back on. I'll tell you what we got to do. So the doors open up. I step off to read the lane. As soon as my back foot's out, I hear, shh. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I turn around and she's in there and she's just like, her mouth drops, my mouth drops, and it's just, and they're gone. And that's why I turn around and there's nobody in this fucking subway. There's nobody. Like nobody. I'm dead alone. Thank God this was like somewhat of the early age of cell phones. So I walk up, there's like nobody at the toll booth even. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna get killed down there. So I get up, I'm calling her, she ain't answering. Finally, she answers. She's like, where are you at? I'm like, how the hell would I know? I've never been there before. I just came up to the street. And so she comes up. Luckily, she found a cab. I was like, tell him to ride back to the next stop, wherever the subway is, and look up under a giant Nextel phone. I'm like up under the zero. But, I mean, thank God we had cell phones. I didn't even know the name of the hotel we were staying at. I don't know how the hell I would have found where we were at. I mean, like, we went to the hotel, dropped bags, and left. I couldn't even tell you the name of it right now, what it was. I had no clue. It wasn't like a name brand hotel. I'll tell you that. It was something off the wall shit.
That's funny. The first place I ever went in 86, I flew to New York City. So that was the first place I ever went out of my state as well. I went to California in 94. And my friend and I there's in California. Have you been there?
No, I've not.
Okay. So in Hollywood, there's this famous theater called the Grauman's Chinese Theater where all the, So there's all the hand prints and footprints and the stars on the thing. So my friend and I were standing there and I'm like, hey, let's walk this way. So if you're looking at the Chinese theater, we decided to walk right. We're walking along, you know, it's like you say 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Two punk kids from freaking, you know, Vermont, or I think we're in our 20s or whatever. So we're walking along. My friend's a tough guy, never scared of anybody. Like he'll kick your ass or whatever. We're walking 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4. These guys are sitting on these stairs. They go, hey, man, you guys want to buy some drugs? And my friend's like, no, we're all set. And he goes, hey, I'm talking to you, right? And I'm like, holy shit. My friend turns white. I'm like, we're fucked. He never turns white, right? so we keep walking, and they're still talking and yelling shit at us. And I'm like, he's like, just keep walking, just keep walking. I'm like, we're fucking dead, right? Just then, 2 cops are walking back the way we just came. So we're walking like this and they walk like that and we go, yep. And we get right behind them and we walk with them past those people. Or
Excuse me, officers, those gentlemen back there have drugs.
Yeah, no, we just kept walking and they looked at us like you fucking got lucky or whatever. So we get way far away from them and the cops stop and turn around and go, guys aren't from around here, are you? And we go, how'd you know that? He goes, because you fucking don't walk down here or whatever.
Yeah, they say it's like easy to walk from good neighborhood to bad real quick down there. I think I was watching that Chelsea hotel documentary.
Oh my God.
And they said it can be Chelsea. You know, fucking great, everything nice, and then you turn a corner and you're in fucking Skid Row.
Yeah. But it was like, holy shit. We're like, thank you so much. We're like shaking their hands and shit. Can we send you money sometime and a Christmas card? Like, we were like, seriously.
By the way, the water at our hotel tastes like shit. You got any bottled water here?
Like this close to like fucking cashing in. We're like, oh God. But like my friend doesn't, some punk in a fucking mall one time looked at him wrong. And my friend's walking through the mall. He looks back and goes, got a fucking problem? And he runs into the fucking trash can because he's looking back behind him. But yeah, he doesn't back down. And then he turned white. And I'm like, we are screwed.
Yeah. Well, you talk about, the divide between, good areas and bads. We have an area like that right here, is right on the water over in New London. And, real nice houses on one side. And you got this one street that like divides. And a friend of mine told me never go down that street. And there was like in the 90s, there was stories of like they would go into they would cut people's phone lines before they were going to do something on the street. It was
Jesus.
Nobody's calling the cops in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
No.
But my Frisbee went into their yard. We'll buy another Frisbee.
It's crazy, the sophistication that serial killers and shit had even way back then. Like the BTK, he would do that a lot. He would cut phone lines before he went in the house. Because this is obviously, people didn't have cell phones back in those days. So they depended on landlines. And that's the kind of the stuff that he would do. And he had the perfect job to be that fucking wacko that he was to be like the HOA. I call them the HOAs now, but to ride or no, it was city ordinance or whatever, just to ride around, check people's grass and all that, make sure their house is clean. I mean, that was his job. So he was able to do all his scouting and hunting basically at his day job, and nobody ever be the wiser for it. And that, had he not been, so eager to try to communicate with the cops, I don't know if he'd ever been caught for the actual crimes. I mean, his I guess eagerness to communicate with the police is what got him caught. It wasn't that he made a mistake in the actual crimes that he did.
It's having somebody notice that or give him the
notoriety.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and they would try. The police. It was kind of interesting how the police were, the big break. But I mean, the break had nothing to do with police work, right? It was like you said. It was he screwed up. He gave them a disc. With the churches.
Gave him the fucking floppy disk, and all they had to do was just look at it, and it had his name on it. So they go to the church where it was from. They say, you got a D Rader here. Yeah, Dennis Rader is a deacon, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I don't know, how the hell would you feel going to that church?
Yeah, and then there was one, because I get them all confused because my girlfriend and I've watched so many, but there was the one where the one guy was the guy who said, it's this guy, Johnny Doe or whatever. And then he ended up being the guy who was trying to rat somebody else out. And if they had only checked this guy who said it was this guy, they would have got him, but they didn't. They were like, oh, it's this other guy because he said so. I forgot which one that one was, but yeah.
So many times they've been close, man. Like you mentioned Dahmer earlier, like there was a point in time where Dahmer had like this Asian kid, I think, like in his fucking hotel, ran out of his house, got the cops, but like poor bastard couldn't speak English.
They brought him
so he's
back.
sitting there, they think he's trying to order food or some shit, It's like, excuse me, sir, I think you misplaced your Asian lover, because he had pictures in his phone of them like doing shit together. They just give them back to him. I mean, this kid's probably panicking his ass off trying to get out of here. And there, Dahmer comes walking down. That's it. We're having a little spout. Look, we're lovers. See these pictures, and they just send him right on back to him. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Now, somebody had a figure once where there's like so many like active serial killers in like the U.S. What is that number? Like,
I remember that figure. I don't know what it is, but it's probably more.
Yeah.
I had a figure once, and then I started drinking soda, and my figure's gone now. I mean,
no, there's actually a really crazy one from my neighborhood. When I say my neighborhood, my neck of the woods, rather, the Carolinas. A guy named Pee Wee Gaskins, short dude, but ruthless. I'm talking like just stone cold killer. Probably, I don't know how tall he was, maybe 5 foot. But I mean, just killed many of people at the time. I think he was one of the first people to kill somebody on death row. He managed to hook a bomb up to a radio and give the guy the radio, tell him to turn it up, and you listen to it, put it to his ear, and it blew his fucking head off. And that was all those conversations were recorded for the hit. The guy's son, I think that man had killed a dude's, I don't know if it was his mom or his wife, somebody like that. So he contacted Pee Wee to, rig that bomb up and kill him. And at that time, Pee Wee was already on death row. But he was a ruthless dude. He would tell him where these bodies and stuff were and get out of jail to go find them. And eventually they weren't finding him. So they thought he was either lying or just using that to get out of jail, get him a little taste of freedom, what little bit he could have. But he wound up getting the electric chair. But I've got his autobiography, and man, that thing's tough. It's he was a brutal ass dude.
Yeah.
It takes a twisted, some fucking narcissism and some crazy shit going on there.
Yeah.
I know, it's funny because on the nights that my girlfriend and I are able to watch something, it's like, do we want to watch the latest episode of Mandalorian, or do you want to watch the psychotic killer documentary? And we're like, documentary, let's do it.
I'm really enjoying the I actually but like the something Anna, the Russian girl that came over and like took all these rich people's money and like they like gave her money, and I'm just like,
is that the truth about Anna or something?
Something like that. Like some of these crime documentaries are just like it beyond belief. It's just like, and you're almost like, well, do these people deserve being taken like this, or like it's really crazy. I mean, I know some of it's glammed up for Hollywood, but like it's still like, whoa.
Well, I know some of the guys on the Still Token podcast, they sent me Russ Faria. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with his story or not, but holy shit, what a fucking story.
That is some fucking shit, man.
Just almost 4 years in the can for something you didn't do. And I mean, just not only do you come home. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not only do you come home and you find the worst scenario imaginable, your wife dead with a knife sticking out of her neck, and then you are getting blamed for it. You know you didn't do it. You're thinking, there's no way I'm going down for this. I didn't do it. She was like, and then you're in jail for 4 fucking years.
Yeah, that was another one we watched recently where I forgot it's on Netflix, but it's like wrongfully accused, or the innocent man, I think, or something like that. And it tells all these stories of these people. It's like, this guy was in jail for 30 years, and they're like, hey, we had the wrong guy all along. We're so sorry. And you get out, you've lost 30 years of your life. You have no money, no job, no place to live, but we're sorry. We made a mistake.
And those things are kept under wraps so much. I think it's because people don't want to admit that the justice system is flawed.
Yeah,
and things like that can happen. Now, look, I'm not saying everybody in prison is innocent. I know, I'm not. That's not the case.
No,
but there are, by and large, probably a decent number of people that are in jail right now because either they didn't have good legal representation or didn't have the means to get it, because a public defender is just going to try to get you the best deal possible. We're not going to try to fight for your freedom.
It's actually
some of them didn't have, back in the day, no DNA, so there wasn't really a way to do that. They're like, he had a gray beard and he was wearing a hat, like, oh my God, what? I didn't do, like, you were running. Yeah, I'm jogging. Like, it's like unbelievable. But yeah, it's just crazy. But can you imagine though, 4 years is long enough, but like, some of these people, 20, 25 years, 18 years of their life. Some of them were like, I just prayed to God every day. I knew I didn't do it. I knew I was innocent. I knew I'd get out of here at some point. But it's like,
there was some guy on CBS the other day that just got out after 30 years about being convicted about 2 women being accused of raping 2 girls. You just got out after 30 years. Like, I'm like, 30 years.
No, that's a long time.
Dude, that's like a whole different world.
Yeah.
Like, there weren't cell phones 30 years ago. There weren't home computers. There wasn't streaming services. Like, it's a whole different world out here. Like,
right. And so like I'd like to apply for a job. You have to go online.
Right.
What do you mean online?
Yeah. I mean, you think of what was popular in 92. You think of what was going on in 1992. I mean, I can't even remember what the hell was going on in 92. I think
it's too fucked up.
You still are.
Keep it green.
I had this boss once. He must have been arrested. I think 4 or 5 times, each time for the same exact thing. It was the last time he actually did some jail time. I think he did like 8 months. But he was raided multiple times by the FBI for pirating.
Really?
So like the first time he got caught, he was
I don't know who's watching y'all's show, but I've never done that. Never.
Nope. Never done pirating.
Neither Johnny Depp never did pirating either.
Oh jeez. So he was doing it on a mass scale. The first time he got caught, he was bootlegging concert. He would like go to a concert with like a tape deck to record it, and then sell those.
Oh.
When I was working for him,
a few of those back in the day, way back in the day, like way 80s, back in the day.
I think that's because I was working for him around like 89, 90.
Like I got actually 90s too, because I had a few corn ones. Like those were cool. I didn't think like anybody cared though. Like
so that was but that's kind of the early days of piracy.
So that was the first time. When I was working for him, he got raided by the FBI. He was selling a Nintendo cartridge that was like 301. He was an importer. It was a video game store I worked out. After I left, he got raided by the FBI again. He was he was a wholesaler.
They're watching you.
I know. He was a wholesaler for like companies like GameStop and stuff like that. And from what I understand, he was like pirating like 3DO games and and mixing in like the copies with like the legit ones. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't spending it.
Was an expensive.
I gotta bring some stuff to the dumpster. I'll be right back.
The last time he got caught, though, last time I heard from, he was pirating Pokemon products.
Jesus Christ!
And
who doesn't learn?
When he got caught, he got a lesser sentence for turning in his supplier. Turned out his supplier had connections with the Yakuza.
Oh, he's not around no more, huh?
I sure hope they caught them all.
In the words of Jim Carrey from Liar Liar, stop breaking the
law. He was
like, dude, after being raided by the FBI, I think I would be like, dude, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this.
Well, you're not good or you're too good, one or the other. But either way, you got to stop, because if they come one time, they know where you fucking live.
Yeah, they're watching. They're there.
Well, I'll tell this quick story, and it's kind of how I got my name, and it involves a little bit of piracy. Oh, yeah, I'm sure the statute of limitations is out, so I can
7 years. 7 years.
Okay. Oh, well, we're good. I'm good to go. So in my neighborhood back in the day, you had some mom and pop video stores. And one of my best friends' mom worked for them. And now they would get movies early. They would get what's called screener copies, which they're still around today.
At the bottom,
they come early. Yeah. So we would get those, and she would bring them home, and I would double them. You know how you could hook up 2 VCRs together and record them. And then any other DVD or movies at the time, this weren't DVDs, movies, VHSs, she would rent them for free because she worked there. And so I would just copy them. So I had like every movie there was. For one tape would probably get like 3 movies back in those days. And so a town next to us started getting some of the bigger chain movie stores. So they got a Blockbuster, and then they got a Hollywood Video. Well, we were sitting around one weekend trying to figure out what we're going to do. Somebody was like, all right, well, we'll go and get all the Friday the 13th and just knock them out, have like a little sleepover horror movie thing. And the guy was like, where are we going to go to get him? Hollywood Video. And the guy was like, why the hell we got to go to Hollywood Video? We got Hollywood Wade. He's got him at his house. And that kind of stuck, believe it or not, at that point. So that's where the Hollywood Wade part come in at. And I really kind of kept it ever since. So it come from pirating, movies from Hollywood Video, Blockbuster. Actually, it wasn't them. It was a smaller one that I was copying from.
Now, I'm not saying that I did the same thing on camera at all. So I'll text you later.
Movie Gallery we had up here.
Yeah, see, Movie Gallery bought the home store that I used to go to all the time, and then they obviously went out. All of them went out eventually, you know, the Netflix and everything. But that was kind of the early days of piracy for me, was doing the copying on the movies. And then, you know, obviously you had the Pirate Bay come out and things like that. And then I think they got shut down. That go Mega Upload or whatever. Those guys were making killings doing that Pirate Bay stuff. I mean, they were just raking in the dough.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice like somebody developed a thing so when you started recording it knew it, and it would like do this weird thing for like 5 seconds so that
it would get blurry.
Yeah. Or get all colory and pixely and stuff, and then it would be okay for a second. So I wrote to these guys and I'm like, hey, I've been trying to copy these movies and you got this thing that's stopping me from doing it. How do I bypass this thing, you know?
My dad had somebody that he got like the black box that you could get, you could hook up, and it gave you like all the pay-per-view channels. But back then there weren't but like 2 pay-per-view channels. You had a main one and then kind of a sub one, you know, and at nighttime it would show some, you know, softcore shit. So that's kind of how I learned about the birds and the bees at nighttime. But, you know, I got all the pay-per-views for the wrestlings and stuff like that, you know, back in the day. And it lasted really up until things started going digital. And, you know, and going 3 digits, because that box only went up to 2 digits. So when it started getting into triple digits, the box didn't work anymore. But, man, we've got free cable for years off that. So if anybody wants to get anybody, you know, call my pop. You know, you got to talk to him about that. I was a kid.
You know, when you go to
my dad said it was just $200.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the produce section and you see the bananas that are in those cardboard boxes. I probably have 10 of those cardboard banana boxes full of VHS tapes with 3 movies on them. Yeah, still.
Yeah. I got rid of that
collection. When you got Froggy, you could get the ones that were 8 hours. You could put like 4 of them on.
Yeah, but then it was so much tape that you'd be watching something and it'd be like, and then it would go, and you're like, no, it's Tango and Cash now. The more tape, the more problems you had. Yeah. Go ahead, Leo.
No, I was
the wrestling thing, actually. One of the guys, Tom Morris, asked in the show notes. Oh, actually, yeah, there you go, Leo. You're the monkey with the button.
So Tom Morris says, noticed in the show notes, you talk about wrestling. Have you yourself been in wrestling, indie circuit, major, WWE, AEW, etc.?
I put my wife in a wrestling hold every now and again, but that's about my extent in being in the wrestling business. But no, I am a fan.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
I am a fan. I interviewed Charles Wright, who was the Godfather. That was probably his most well-known gimmick. He was also Papa Shango and I think about 14 other names. But the Godfather was kind of his, you know, the one he was known for. Big cannabis, active cannabis. You know, he was smoking while we were doing our podcast. And I've interviewed quite a few people. Actually, just the interview before you guys was with a guy named Kenny Boland, who was in the business for a long time. So that was who I just got done before I hopped on with you guys. I interviewed Steve Goldstein, who's you know, kind of a historian. He was actually had the rights to the Von Erich family. He was going to do a movie about that, and not to mention all the bad shit that happened to them. The lady who he was partners with wound up getting shot and put in the trunk of her own car. So that kind of scared out the investors that was on board with doing that. So that curse just kind of extends to whoever's got anything to do. I was like, damn, I believe I'd sell that shit and get it out of my house or something.
Yeah.
But he still technically owns the rights to it right now if anybody ever wants to do anything with it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. So, you know, I want to get some more wrestlers on the show. I've talked to a few historians. And like I said, I'm trying to get involved with some more wrestlers as they come on. But I was a big fan, you know, in the early days when Hulk Hogan was big. And then obviously through the Attitude Era, when that tapered off, I kind of stopped. I had Jasmine St. Clair on the show. Now, most people know her from her porn career, but she actually parlayed that over into XPW and ECW as well. So she had a little time in there, and we had some good conversations about what was going on in those territories. Because, I mean, they were just ECW was on some next level hardcore shit, man.
They were,
and XPW was the same way.
That's where Rob Van Dam came from, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sabu and New Jack. The shit they were doing there was just crazy. It was unheard of at the time. I mean, just diving off balconies and scaffolds and all that.
I watched wrestling in the 80s, and my go-to, and they live down near you guys in North. I believe they live in North Carolina. Fucking Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson. I could watch them. Oh my God, that's who I was watching in the 80s. Is those guys? Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, who I hear they live down that way. Nikita and Magnum TA live down that way somewhere.
Dustin Rhodes is going to be at Terrific on RW.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's terrific.
Yeah, but it is terrific.
But yeah, no, I freaking love the Rock and Roll Express and their double drop kick. But it's funny. My dad hated Ric Flair, hated him. So one day
I always felt like WCW was like the poor man's wrestling.
Well, no, I think they were NWA.
WWF was like, well, this right before the Eric Bischoff and stuff like that. When like you were watching Mean Gene Okerlund over on friggin' WWF, and Vince McMahon was still a commentator and stuff like that. And then afterwards, you'd switch over to WCW, and you're like, the Four Horse. Like, they were cool and all, but like the quality wasn't as done. The showmanship wasn't as great as WCW.
Yeah, the production, the whole theatrics, I don't think was quite as big. The Four Horsemen was, by and large, I think what carried them for a long time. Sting was probably like their only marketable good guy for quite a while. But when Bischoff got in there, man, he took it to another level.
Didn't they have Piper and Macho Man, or was he?
They all came later
on NWO and stuff. When
once Bischoff got in there and he kind of created that whole NWO thing, and then he got Hall and Nash, who was
smart man.
Razor and Diesel over there in WWF, and then they started bringing in some other guys like Rick Rude and Sean Waltman, who was X-Pac, 6-Pac, 14-Pac, whatever his name is.
1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 Kid. All those things, they started really battling those guys. And he had Macho Man, like you mentioned over there. Roddy Piper had a little stint. Ultimate Warrior even came to WCW to do a one-off with Hogan. So, I mean, Bischoff, he's got a lot of critics, but he was a smart son of a bitch. And, I mean, he went head-to-head and beat Vince McMahon for his podcast 83 weeks. For 83 weeks in a row, he beat him. So, I mean, that wasn't easy to do back then, because at that time, Vince was, New York was where you could go and you say you made it.
Right. Ric Flair was at a Comic-Con that we were all at. I think we were all there, but I walked up to him. I said, "Ric Flair, my dad hated your guts. Shake my hand." He just kind of looked at me or whatever. But we met Rowdy, and a few months later, he was gone, unfortunately.
That's horrible, man. Rowdy was a cool dude. I liked him.
He was. He had it was his birthday the day. It was a birthday the day I met him, and he was giving everybody who walked up. He's like, "Hey, it's my birthday. You want some cake?" And I was like, "No, I don't want your cake. It's your birthday." He's like, "No, man, have a piece." And I'm like, "No."
He didn't do better in Hollywood, because like what was that movie with the aliens?
They Live.
Yeah,
but he also did that other one, which has the longer name.
They Live was amazing.
Yeah, it was such a great wrestlers were not given their due, and that's why he didn't make it. But him, Hogan, all that stuff, they really opened the doors for The Rock and stuff like that.
And John Cena and stuff. They definitely opened those. Jesse Ventura was one of the first.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, Predator and stuff.
Yeah, he gets looked over a good bit, but for Predator, and
he is.
He kind of set the tone there, and then Hogan obviously took it to another level. Even though Hogan's movies weren't very good at all.
Not really, no.
I like No Holds Barred, because it was still based around what he was doing. When it come to him being Suburban Commando and everything else,
Hell Comes to Frogtown was the other one that Roddy Piper was in. Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. I haven't
seen that one.
Really? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I think it's on one of the free streaming services.
Luther?
Yeah. Maybe.
I know, Philip, your computer battery is dying. I got your message there. We'll actually be wrapping up shortly. Phil, did you have any questions before you pop out? Oh, we lost your audio.
Hello? You hear me?
There you are.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think it's, like I said, PC's going. No, I'm good. I mean, this has been a good stream of consciousness stuff. We got the main points for Wade right at the beginning, and then it's just been a great conversation since. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Wade, for somebody starting out, and I know Jeremy said it in the beginning, it seemed like you're a natural at podcasting. What are some suggestions that you would give somebody starting out?
Well, for one, you're just going to have to try stuff yourself. If you start asking everybody for help, you're probably going to, if you ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. That's what I learned real quick. Now, I did have a buddy of mine that had been somewhat into this game. He was a photographer, so he would make videos and things like that. So he helped me out in the beginning. As a matter of fact, on some of our audio episodes, he was my co-host for a little while. And he told me up front he wasn't going to be able to do it long, but just to kind of help me get to feel things and get on my feet. And then he would kind of duck off, which he did. And that, I appreciate him for helping me. But, for the most part, like I said, you ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. So just kind of, get some stuff that you're going to go with. You don't have to jump in with high dollar equipment right off the rip. I got a laptop. I got I think my mic was like $100. It was a dynamic microphone. I did jump in and get the Rode Procaster, which is about $600, because I knew where I wanted to go with it. So I didn't want to have to upgrade to 2 or 3 different machines. I did go ahead. That was probably my biggest purchase. It's definitely not a requirement, but for some of the things I wanted to do, it makes editing and shit a whole lot easier. And just kind of get your feet wet, man. Play with it a little bit. Find your niche of what you want to do. Not everybody is into true crime. But I've learned from now talking with a lot of other podcasters, there's a subject matter and an audience out there for about any damn thing you want to talk about. And my show is a great example of that. I've got people that love the mob content. Then I've got people that like the true crime. Then I got people that like the drug smuggling. Then I got people that like, interviews with Larry Hankin, who's a great comedic actor. And people that love the Sopranos. So it's all across the board. So whatever you're into, whether it's mental health or, anime or Star Wars or, comedy or wrestling by itself. I mean, there's going to be somebody there. So just kind of, do some research and get your feet wet and, just go with it. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
Awesome.
I think the best thing is be yourself.
Yeah. Don't try to put on the act, man, because that's too hard. That's too rough to do.
Yeah.
Me on my podcast is the same way I am on here, and it's the same guy you're going to see at the bar or wherever else you see me.
Yeah, you can tell it's just very natural. Like there doesn't seem to be any BS behind what you're saying.
Not a bit.
And I'm literally I'm the same guy too, and that's why I have no friends, unfortunately.
Yeah, same here. I say you're all my friends. Hello, pretties.
But wait, as I say that, I'm losing friends on Facebook right
now. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely, check out Hollywood Wade and the Crime and Entertainment Podcast. Links are in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching us. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got about 40 shows on the network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. So head on over to thedorkening.com to learn about all the shows there. Wade, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, or we actually have Crime and Entertainment Facebook page. I'm also on Facebook as Chip Williamson, so you can send me a friend request on there. I got a little bit of room left. I'm on Instagram at Hollywood Wade SC, and then also over there we're at Crime and the letter N Entertainment, because somebody had our Crime and the N symbol handle. So Crime, the letter N in Entertainment, we're on there. And then obviously on the YouTubes, I communicate with a lot of people on the YouTubes through the comments and stuff like that. Some of those videos gets an awful lot of comments from trolls and haters and everything else. So I go on there and talk a little shit when I got some time.
Nice.
Oh, good for you, man.
Jar.
Hey, come check me out on Facebook, Jeremy Courtney, and hit me up on the buy sell trade page, Comic Book Lovers Buy Sell Trade and Auctions. Get good deals on comic books.
Woohoo!
Woo!
RW.
You can find me right there. I knew I could get this. At the bottom of the page at that website is all my Facebook, Twitter, Tenor, Cameo, TikTok, whatever. And The book has been out for a while, paperback form, Life Inside My Head, Living with ADHD, A Scattered Tale. It's now available. Press 2 now. It's also available in hardcover, ebook, and the audiobook was supposed to be live Friday, and it's still not live, so I got to figure out why the audiobook is not available yet. But hopefully it's available very soon. Thank you.
Philip.
People can find me on Facebook as Philip Perrin, Perron, and also at the Dark Discussions podcast Facebook group. I'm usually there. And then www.darkdiscussions.com is the website for all the podcasts.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Wade.